Most men regain the weight that they lose. In fact, 95% do. But I helped this one dad lose over 100 pounds and actually keep it off permanently. Now, the big difference was that I implemented these 9 lessons that made a world of a change for him. So in this video, I'm going to break down those 9 lessons and how even missing one could be the reason why you're feeling stuck and struggling to lose weight. Now, we first need to understand where we started off. So this is Robert. He's a nurse manager, dad of 4, and he used to serve in the army. Now, currently, he is working as a nurse manager, working 12-hour shifts sometimes. Sometimes he even has to work nights. And that takes a toll on him. Now, despite being in the army, what he used to do was he'd always try to do a bunch of runs, work out a ton of hours in the gym in order to stay in shape. But, as you become a dad, time gets limited. That's not sustainable. So despite only sleeping 5 to 6 hours a night, not having access to a gym, and also balancing everything between life, family, etc., the biggest problem wasn't his motivation or his discipline. The biggest problem was that he didn't have the right structures and systems. So that takes me into these 9 lessons, and let's go through them. Now, quick side note, if you're a busy dad and you're sick and tired of starting over again, and you want to get back in shape, you're serious about the change, and you want a real plan, one that actually works for your schedule, one for your lifestyle, then check out the link below in the description, and it's going to take you to a form. All right, all that form is I give real and honest feedback to men in my community. All right, so whether you have a current plan now and you want some feedback on it, or maybe you're getting back into things and you just want some guidance, all right, no strings attached, all for free. That form I give, again, honest and real feedback for men inside of my community. So go check it out and use it so you can get back to your best. Now, back to the lessons. Lesson number 1 is to build a roadmap, not just to do more. Now, when most guys try to lose weight, right, 2 things come up. Oh, I'm just going to eat healthier. Or, you know what, I'm just going to work out more. But that always leads to failure, inconsistencies, and making you feel lazy at the end of the day. See, the thing is, with your schedule, with everything in terms of your lifestyle, you don't need to add another thing on your plate. So instead of trying to work harder, you need to work smarter. Think about it like this, right? If you had a project at your job, right? In order to be able to get the project done and your boss asks you, all right, what's your plan going into this? You can't just say, well, I'm just going to figure it out. Or I'm just going to work harder. Yeah, of course you're going to figure it out. Of course you're going to work hard throughout the process, but that's not an actual plan. That's not a whole step-by-step to get from point A to point B. Take Robert, for example, as a nurse manager. Whether you're teaching other nurses or you have different individuals under you, you're managing them, you have a whole system of how to get them from point A to point B. You have different milestones and metrics that you're measuring, right? The same thing you want to apply into your own health and fitness. All right, so stop trying to just use or go by the books of, oh, you know what, I'm just going to eat healthier, I'm just going to work out more, and expect the awesome results that you want to happen. That's not the case. You want to have a structured plan that takes you from point A to point B and is proven and will work. So again, have a roadmap, not just do more. Now, lesson number 2 is have a fat loss exit plan. All right. Similarly in business, I call this having an exit strategy. So what this means is that you need to have a plan of after you lose weight. See, the reason why so many guys fail when it comes to weight loss, or maybe you've tried different diets and different products when it comes to losing weight, the reason why none of those work is because they help you lose weight, but they don't actually help you to learn how to keep it off. All right. So that's why it's so important to have an exit strategy. And this is what we did with Robert. All right. Throughout the whole fat loss phase, we were working on different habits. We were working on integrating different systems that allowed him to use them after he lost the weight, so that by the time he hit his goal already, he wasn't just eating back like he used to be. No, we had ingrained things into his lifestyle so that eating enough protein, eating enough fiber throughout the day, and also being able to go on vacation and not throwing out all your progress, none of that was a problem. He had already built up all these habits throughout the whole period. So lesson number 2, super important, is have an exit strategy. Build the right habits so that after you lose the weight, you don't end up becoming like a statistic like the other 95% of guys who end up regaining the weight that they lost, right? You lose some weight, but then after a few months, maybe after a few years, it all ends up coming back. By that point, there's no point of you losing weight in the first place. So instead, do it the right way, have an exit strategy, and lose the weight permanently. Now, lesson number 3 is having systems over willpower. Now, what I mean by this is that motivation and willpower are like a phone battery, all right? They're high at the beginning of the day, but then they end up dying by the end. So Robert didn't end up losing over 100 pounds just by quote unquote trying harder. That's a recipe for disaster. Instead, we implemented systems into his lifestyle so that it was easy for him to choose the healthier, the right options versus just not giving into his temptations and just trying to force his way through, right? Here's a few examples and what I mean by that. So number 1, with his workouts, we scheduled them in so that they would be first thing in the morning. And if he didn't do his workouts first thing in the morning, he did them right before he got home, so right after work, all right? Now, a second very easy system is eating the same food. So, right, having a planned list of these are the foods I'm going to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and keep it super simple. Now, the reason why this worked is because dads, you have a lot of things on your mind. You're always thinking about, all right, can I make the bills on time? Can I live this lifestyle? Can I make more money, right? You have all these financial things in your head. Secondly, you're thinking about, all right, am I being a great dad? Am I serving my family at the highest level? And add all the extra life stressors on top of that, it's a ton. So we want to make fat loss as simple as possible. And by doing that, just eat a lot of the similar foods. Because at the end of the day, you're not dieting for taste. You're dieting for results. And that's all that really matters. So again, make sure you have the right systems in place instead of just trying to will yourself to go harder. Now, lesson number 4 is about tracking more than just a scale. See, during Robert's journey, there was a couple times where he plateaued. And through that, most guys would panic, right? You would either 1, give up because, you're not seeing results. Or 2, you would drastically change things even more because you want the weight loss to continue on like how it used to. But that's a big mistake. See, instead, Robert didn't panic or throw in the towel because he knew that we had a plan. And here's why. So on top of just a scale, we tracked a number of things like his energy levels, his weight, his hips and waist circumference. We tracked his progress photos. See, when you have multiple points of data, it actually allows you to see a bigger picture of what's actually happening. So, for example, when Robert hit a couple plateaus, right, he was still excited because he shared with me, hey, Michael, although my weight hasn't been moving, but my clothes have been feeling better. I've been feeling more energized. And those are the real wins. Because just because the weight doesn't move, there can be multiple factors, whether it's stress, lack of sleep, etc. But when you look at different metrics, during those times of plateau, we saw that Robert's hips the number got lower, right? We saw that his progress photos looked better because he was gaining muscle throughout the process too. And that's why it's so important, because the more data that you can have, the clearer you can be. And you can also make better data-driven decisions instead of drama-driven decisions. Now we're a little bit over halfway through, and that takes us to lesson number 5. Lesson number 5 is simply to not eat regularly on vacation. Enjoy yourself. And here's why. Now, when Robert had a couple times where he had a family trip, he had took his kids to the amusement park. And during those times, it's important to be able to create this lifestyle. What ended up happening is that when applying the right things like still eating protein, still getting in the amount of fiber, still walking, and choosing specific meals where you can enjoy, you can indulge a little bit. What ended up happening is Robert came back from those vacations, those little breaks, even leaner. The amazing part was that Robert was surprised because now, instead of being discouraged or throwing in the towel when you go on vacation and absolutely just obliterating the results that you got, instead, he had the confidence to say, you know what, this is a lifestyle. I've been able to lose weight and I'm able to keep it off and still enjoy life without worrying about putting fat on. So that in itself is absolutely priceless. Now, lesson 6, all right? This is my favorite. Lesson 6 is to involve your kids. One of my favorite aspects about Robert is because he's been leading by example throughout this whole time, working out almost every day, going out for his steps, he's led by example and encouraged his kids, not by telling them what to do, but his actions. And now today, he works out almost every day with his son. And that is priceless because imagine the relationship that you're able to cultivate, that you have with your kid when you have some of these daily disciplines together. On top of that, he's going on walks with them and he's leading by examples that his kids see. All right, this is what health really looks like. This is what dad's doing to improve. This is what dad's doing to be energized for us. And that is the best gift you could ever give to your family and kids. Now, here are the last 3 lessons, 7, 8, and 9. All right, starting with number 7, it's to use vacations as an advantage. Now, when most dads try to lose weight or try to get back in shape, they use the busy seasons as an excuse, right? Oh, things are too busy, so I can't do anything right now. Or, oh, I just have too much on my plate. I can't even think about adding exercise or eating right now. But that's also the exact reason why you fail. See, busy seasons are normal in life, and let's be honest, you're a dad. You're always going to be in some sort of busy season. So whether it's work or some personal things that pop up, you need to be able to use these to your advantage, because if you always give up or put your health aside during busy seasons, what you're actually telling yourself is, you know what, when things get hard, I'm going to quit. When things get busy, I'm going to quit. But let's look at your background, right? The reason why you have a strong marriage is because you continue to push through in tough times. The reason why you're still here with kids is because you've been able to weather storms. And the reason why you do so well professionally is because you push through hard times. So you need to apply the same principle in your health. And the reason why Robert, again, has been so successful is because during those times where he only got 4 hours of sleep, during those times where he was working 12-hour days, during those times where he'd have to work nights, during those times where he had personal things pop up, deaths in the family, he still stuck to the plan. Although he wasn't perfect every single time, he still did something which was better than nothing, all right? And he didn't beat himself up whenever there was mistakes. So, again, use busy seasons as your advantage, because that is what gives you the edge to continue to make this a lifestyle. Now, lesson number 8 here, the second last one, is a very simple one, and it's how to never get off track ever again. Now, I had to make this mindset shift with Robert, all right? Because anytime, especially at the very beginning, anytime Robert would make a mistake or maybe he missed a workout, a lot of things would come up and say, you know what, let me get back on track, all right? Let me get back on track on Monday. Let me get back on track tomorrow, right? But here's the thing. Ever since you made that decision to start and prioritize your health and fitness, you've been on track this whole time. Imagine if you use that same mindset with your marriage, right? Let's say you get a disagreement with your wife. Are you all of a sudden off track in terms of your relationship? Because you disagree or get into a fight, are you all of a sudden not in love with each other? No, right? Those small bumps or things that you have to navigate through make you stronger. So anytime that you end up quote unquote off track, use it as a lesson. And instead, just continue and think about it as a whole journey. Because if you just beat yourself up or you stopped every time that you quote unquote make a mistake, that is a negative way of looking at things. So ever since you started to make that decision to choose to change your health, moving forwards, starting today, you are on track forever. And that's just the reality of it. Now, the last lesson, number 9, is to prioritize nutrition over workouts. Now, I want to preface this by saying that workouts are important, but what's going to move the needle the most is your nutrition. See, that's why you need both. But if I were to choose one, you need to put nutrition first, because in order to be in a deficit, that food, whatever you put in your mouth, is always going to be the reason why you're losing weight or you're not. Now, here's what happened with Robert. In the past, he was trying to do the same things that he did in his 20s. He was trying to do the same things that he did in the army. What happens in the army is you're doing hours of cardio, a bunch of push-ups, sit-ups, long workouts, and it's not sustainable when you have 4 kids, work, etc. So instead, we focused on the real habit that was going to move the needle the most, which was his nutrition. So with that, that's why we made sure he got enough protein, getting enough fiber, and really making those things a lifestyle change with his eating habits so that it's easy to keep weight off. So final lesson is focus on things that are going to move the needle the most, like your nutrition, and have your workouts be supplement. Fat loss is going to come from nutrition, and muscle and how you look is going to come from your workouts. So to close, Robert didn't lose 100 pounds by trying to be perfect. He didn't do it by working harder either or trying to fit more. Instead, we worked smarter by implementing the right systems and structures that actually fit his life. And these 9 lessons that I just talked about, those are what made the difference. So if you're a busy dad and you're sick and tired of starting over and over again and you want some honest feedback on whether your plan, you're stuck at plateau, or maybe you're just getting back into things, then check out the description below. There's a link to a form and fill that out and I'll give you some real and honest feedback. No fluff, no strings attached. I just want to serve more guys in my community so that you can continue to impact the world as a father. Now, if coaching is something that you're open to, then I also have a link of that down below. All right, check it out. It'll take you to my website and you'll learn more about my program and how I've helped over 100 dads transform their body and life so that they can build a dad bod that they're actually proud of. And honestly, more importantly, they're leading by example for their families. So check those out and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Oh, and I quickly forgot. YouTube does this thing where it suggests videos either up here or here, and it's going to share with you something helpful. So if you want to watch the next video, go ahead, check it out.